Got another story to tell you. It's true. That's one of those stories about respect and honor, about love and hate. It's race based. I'll just tell you right out straight. It's one of those race based stories. Black on white, white on black. It's about race. It's about love and honor, respect. I've been looking at the 1920 census of Madison County, Alabama, and I noticed here in 1920, New Market, Alabama, official U.S. Census. It says, let me find it. William Nathaniel so-and-so, married, head of household, 41 years old. Minnie M., wife, age 34. Willie Bob, age 14. Son. Dewey, age 12. Son. Clarence, age 9. Son. And Howard, aged 4. Son. Now, if we skip on 10 years to the 1930 census, same household, the same house, the same place, there in New Market. U.S. Census 1930. Madison County, Alabama. Street address, 25 Cullum Road, New Market, Alabama. William N., married, head of household, 51 years old. Minnie, wife, age 43. Clarence, son, aged 18. Oscar, son, age 14. And Cleo, daughter, age 8. And Thomas, son, age 4. 10 years later, same household, same children, same daddy, same mama. There's one difference. I don't know if you noticed or not, but that 4-year-old son that was named Howard in 1920 is not Howard anymore. His name is Oscar. So that's where the story is, and that's what we're going to talk about just a second. It's the heart of a servant. I mean, when you're raised in a household where there's no hate, you don't hate anybody. There's no reason to hate anybody. So in 1920, this man and his wife were raising his family, and he had a young son, Howard, and time passes on, and when Howard was 8 years old, there was an old colored man that lived in the community there in New Market. His name was Oscar. He'd come down that gravel road every day. Older gentleman, widowed, kids is all gone. He'd had the old mule with him. He'd come down that road going from household to household. Y'all need any help today? Can I do anything for y'all today? Y'all need any help? And he'd always help in the garden, help in the fields, help in the yard. Any way he could. He just wanted to help people. And he'd go by Miss Minnie's house. That's Howard's mama. Miss Minnie, can I help you today? One day Howard's about 8 years old. Miss Minnie, can I help you? Yeah. Oscar, what we're doing today. What I'm doing, I'm canning tomatoes. And I really need some help. Nathaniel's out in the field. He can't help. If you could pick them tomatoes for me and bring them in here in this pot of boiling water so I can peel them, we'll count them. And you just stay, you bring the tomatoes in, pick them, and just all you got to do is put them in this boiling water. So he was there 4 or 5 hours helping. He didn't want no money. Some days people give him $1. Some days people give him 50 cents. And some days people just wouldn't give him nothing. So that day, towards the end of the afternoon, they'd finished all the tomatoes. Mr. Oscar said, well, Miss Minnie, I think we're about done, ain't it? She said, yeah. So Minnie said, what do I owe you, Oscar? Oh, You don't owe me anything. No, you're not going to leave without me giving you something. Let me give you 2 quarts of these tomatoes. Just, boy, they'll be good this winter. So he took those 2 quarts of tomatoes and went back home. Every day he'd come down through there, and Howard took a liking to him. So 2 or 3 days after that, he asked his mama, Mama, can I go help Mr. Howard today? Can I go help Mr. Oscar today? I want to help Oscar. He's helping other people, and I want to learn how to help people. She said, well, you'll have to ask Mr. Oscar about that. So a little while later, here he come up the road, that mule. Old Howard went up there to the road and hollered, oh, Mr. Oscar, Mr. Oscar, Mr. Oscar, I want to help you today. I want to help you today, Mr. Oscar. I want to learn how to work. And so he said, well, you're going to have to talk to your mama. I done asked her, I done told her, come over here and talk to mama. So Oscar went up in the yard there, and Miss Minnie come out in the yard. Howard said, Mama, tell him. He said, Mr. Oscar, if it ain't too much trouble, that boy's having a fit to go with you and learn how to do things. Oh, that boy loves you to death, Mr. Oscar. Oh, yeah. I'd just be I need to help. He said, Howard, you going to help? Will you help me? Yes, sir, Mr. Oscar, I'll help you. And they took off down the road, and he was holding his hand and went over to the neighbor's first house to come to. They was digging taters. Mr. Oscar hollered over, hey, y'all need any help? Yes, sir, Mr. Oscar, we sure could use. Now, we could use that mule. Boy, oh, Mr. Oscar, can you please help us dig these? I've got a pitchfork out here trying to dig these taters. If you bring old Sally up here and hook her up this plow, oh, we can have him things dug in a couple of hours. So that's what he done. Helped them dig taters, and he got done. Well, Mr. Oscar, what have you got? Well, you don't owe me anything. And I'm just glad to help. And they said, no, we're going to give you 50 cents and a bag of taters. Well, it went on like that, day after day in the summertime there. Little Howard always run out to the road there to meet Mr. Oscar. Some days, they didn't find anybody to help, and they wind up over in Hurricane Creek fishing. Oscar got him where he'd take him fishing, and he'd catch a mess of fish, and he'd drop them off there to Miss Minnie, 3 or 4 perch, and he'd take 3 or 4 perch on the home with him. Well, it rolled around there. One day, Howard was out in the front yard playing in the dirt. Minnie went out on the front porch. Howard, supper's ready. Come on in. He didn't pay no attention to her. He had his back. Howard, I said, supper's ready. Come in and eat supper. He turned around and walked up and said, Mama, I'm not Howard anymore. You're not? I'm Oscar. You call me Oscar. From now on, he's an 8-year-old child. You don't call me Howard anymore. You call me Oscar. And she said, okay, son, we'll do that. She was figuring, a day or two it'd wear out. Rocked on there. First thing you knew, everybody in the community there was calling him Little Oscar. Because they're always together. Like, hey, here comes Little Oscar. Here comes Oscar and Little Oscar. All right. Now, in this 1930 census, and this official, okay, this same family, where am I at? Where'd I go? What happened to me? In 1930, the same family, in the same household, in the same house, William, Nathaniel, and his wife, Miss Minnie, and the children, and it comes down there, this four-year-old boy now is 14, is 10 years later, and he's listed as a 14-year-old son by the name of Oscar. He loved that old man. And the rest of his life, his name was Oscar Floyd Moon. That's my daddy. It's a true story. That's when you're raised in a home where people love everybody, where you have a servant's heart. That's the only thing you know. You don't know. You have to learn to hate people. I don't hate anybody. I love everybody. I was raised in a family a whole household of people that had servants' hearts. They wanted to help their neighbors. They wanted to get along with. They wanted to love their neighbors. So in a world where all the whites hate the blacks hate the white, and I hate, and I hate, and I hate, and you hate, I don't hate anybody. I don't have any reason to hate anybody. There's nobody in the world any sorrier than I am. But they sure ain't nobody any better than I am. I just have a servant's heart, and I always have it. That's a story I thought was interesting. That's a true story, and that was my daddy.